look at that. It's teaser time presented by Betfred right here on the Hammer Betting Network. Week 14, my God, the season's zooming right by. Okay, quick recap. Last week we went 1-1. Maybe a little bit of bad luck with LAMAR Jackson going down. That busted up the Sunday teaser. However, the Monday Night Football game, same game teaser, wire to wire, no sweat win. Maybe the easiest win of the season. So let's hope we can have a couple of easy wins here this week. Just a reminder, you can track all the action on Teaser Time by downloading the BetStamp app. Find us there under the name. What else? Teaser Time. All right, guys, let's get right into the action here for Week 14. You know the drill. My 5 favorite teaser legs. We take the top 2. We pit them on an official ticket. Let's get right into it. We're going to start things off with the Minnesota Vikings, who will take up to from +2.5 up to +8.5 in Detroit versus the Lions. This line flipping and flopping, and a lot of people calling the Vikings frauds this season. You know what? It's probably there because their stats don't really align with their final results. Their record, the number 2 seed in the NFC. What is going on here? But they do take care of business. They win these games versus average to bad teams. You know, they have 2 losses this season, and they did get their ass kicked in those games, but those 2 losses came versus the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys, 2 legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Now, I'm not saying that the Lions do not deserve to be favored in this game. They're on a great run here lately. They gave the Bills a good game on Thanksgiving. However, this has got to be their high point in the betting market because just last week, they're a 1-point favorite at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were 1-18 in their previous 19 road games. Now they go to being a 2.5-point favorite versus the 2nd seed in the NFC. So I guess I'm kind of selling high on Detroit here. I mean, I'm teasing their opponent by 6. So yeah, I think this is going to be a tight game. I think taking the Vikings up to +8.5 is a great look here. Next up, a bit of a weirdo game. I'm going to take the Panthers from +4 all the way up to +10 in Seattle versus the Seahawks. So we're seeing some competitive football from the Panthers here lately. 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. And I do not like what we've seen from the Seahawks out of their bye. They were hot to start the season. Not so much here lately, though. We saw their defense allow 40 points versus the Raiders, where they allowed 7.5 yards per play. And they follow that up by needing to scratch and claw for a last-minute win versus John Wolford and the Los Angeles Rams. So, wrong direction for the Seahawks, and I give the Panthers the defensive edge in this game. They're tied for 4th in yards per play allowed over the last 3 games. That's pretty good. Number 1 in yards allowed per pass attempt. Seattle's defense near the bottom of the league in each of those categories over that span. So I think the Panthers can give them a game and keep this one close. So Panthers up to +10. Next up, interesting game here. I'm going to take the Jets all the way up to +15.5 versus the Buffalo Bills, the Jets. Jets, baby. So from week 4 on, the Jets are 6-3. Those losses came by 5, 7, and 5. We get them all the way up to +15.5 here. And we know the Jets beat the Bills a couple weeks back, and that win was no fluke whatsoever. Buffalo only outgained them by 0.1 yards per play. And I think the Jets defense keeps them in it. They're now 2nd in yards allowed per play. And if it comes down to a backdoor cover situation, that might be the case in this game. You know, the Bills look like maybe they got their mojo back last week versus the Patriots. But if it takes a backdoor cover, I like the Jets' chances. Mike White can sling it. 684 passing yards over his last 2 games. So Jets up to +15.5. Good look there. Okay, now we are into official teaser ticket territory, and we're going to start things off with the team who, I guess, kind of maybe burned us last week. LAMAR Jackson got hurt, so it's not fair to say they burned us. But yeah, I like taking the Ravens from +2.5 up to +8.5 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has just 1 win by more than 9 points this season. A couple weeks ago, a 20-10 win over the disgrace that is the New Orleans Saints. Meanwhile, for Baltimore, and yeah, I know the quarterback situation is different. I'm not going to be one of these jackasses who gets up here and says, Huntley's just as good as Lamar Jackson. That is not true. But Baltimore has kept things close in their losses this season. All of their losses, all 4 of their losses, have come by 4 points or less. So this isn't a team that gets blown out. It's not a team that really gets their ass kicked. And here's the thing. Keep in mind that Huntley's a quarterback here. They kept things tight with Huntley versus some very decent competition last season. As you recall, Lamar Jackson was out for the stretch run of last season. So they lost 4 straight games to end the season, Baltimore, with Huntley as a quarterback. Each loss was by 3 points or less. Some of those losses versus some very good competition. The LA Rams, remember them? They went on to win the Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers, they were pretty good last season too. And one of those losses, one of those 3-point losses, was an overtime loss to these Pittsburgh Steelers. So Pittsburgh, absolutely, yes, they're playing better for sure. Looks like they'll be able to comfortably go into next season with Kenny Pickett as their quarterback. But I don't think they have the firepower to pull away here. Just 17.8 points per game. Was anyone impressed by their offensive performance versus the Falcons last week? Not really. 30th in yards per play. And, I think they're going to have trouble separating, especially considering this Ravens defense. Some real bright spots for them. They're great on third down and fantastic versus the run. Let's also keep in mind when these teams play, it's usually a tight game. 6 of the last 7 games between these teams, regardless of the winner, has been decided by 7 points or less. So taking the Ravens up to plus 8.5, and we will pair them with, I think this will probably be the most popular teaser play of the week, taking the Giants opponent, I should say, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Giants. Take the Eagles down to -1 in this game versus the Giants. So we've hit on the Eagles a couple times already this season. The Eagles, 11-1 if you tease them by 6 points this season. So this is just an absolute no-brainer versus the Giants here. This is a matchup between teams who rank first and 26 in net yards per play. So, a bit of a mid-November dip for the Eagles. Lost to the Commanders, a sluggish win versus the Colts. But that's a distant memory now because 2 lights-out performances the Eagles are coming off of where they've dropped 75 total points and advantages all over the place. A lot of data points pointing towards the Eagles in this one. But most notably, the offensive side of the ball, I think the Giants will have trouble keeping up. It's as simple as that. Their offensive line is allowing the most pressure and the 5th most sacks. Now they go up against a Philly defense that's 2nd in sacks and 8th in pressure percentage. And, sometimes you look at a game like this for the Eagles and you might think letdown spot, look ahead spot. That's not the case here for Philadelphia. They can't afford to take the foot off the gas. They get the Vikings breathing right down their neck. Certainly not a look-ahead spot with the Bears on deck next week. So Sunday teaser, we will take the Eagles down to -1 and pair them with the Baltimore Ravens up to plus 8.5. All right, it is same game teaser time. On a nice little roll with these, so we'll try to keep that roll. A bit tricky this week, to be completely honest. So we're going to go to the Thursday night football game. I think this is our best opportunity for a same-game primetime teaser. So take the Raiders down to a pick. Pair that with the under, which will take all the way up to 50.5 points. So for this under, only one Rams game this season has topped 50.5 points. That came in week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons. And I think we can all agree that that was a much different version of the Rams, right? Matthew Stafford was slinging it to Cooper Kupp. That won't be the case in this game because the Rams offense has no big play ability whatsoever. 2nd fewest passing plays of 20-plus yards this season. The 2nd most pressure and sacks allowed. So whoever's playing quarterback for them, going to be an absolute sitting duck. Do not be surprised to see the Raiders increase their blitz rate in this one. Also to LA's credit, though, to support this underside of things a little bit, their defense has been really good in the red zone. 2nd in opponent red zone TD conversion percentage. This aligns pretty good with Vegas's offense, who's been struggling in the red zone. 28th in red zone touchdown conversion percentage for them. Okay, so on to the Raiders pick leg of this teaser. Come on here. The Rams already have their suitcases packed. They're ready to go home for the season. But the Raiders starting to peak a little bit here, right? Derek Carr, since he cried at the podium a couple of weeks ago, they are 3-0. And they easily won the yards per play battle in all those games versus the Broncos, Seahawks, and Chargers. So over those 3 games, the Raiders actually lead the NFL in yards per play at 7.0 during that same span. The Rams, way down there, big shock at 29. So the Rams, stars and scrubs roster, right? Well, it's mainly scrubs right now. A lot of big names out of the lineup for them. John Wolford and Bryce Perkins have combined for 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in Matthew Stafford's absence. And the running game ranks 31st in yards per rush attempt. As a result, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with this Raiders offense, which is absolutely peaking right now. So there you have it. Same game teaser for Thursday Night Football this time around. So there you have it. Teaser time for Week 14 is in the can. Hopefully a 2-0 week here, guys. Don't forget to check me out with my day job, Vegas Insider. Host a little show called Chasing That Paper Monday through Friday on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel at 11 Eastern. Good luck with your picks in Week 14. We'll see you again in Week 15.